morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're so delighted to have Mayor Catherine Pugh here in our midst. We've been really eagerly awaiting for your visit here at Ben Franklin High School. And we would love to share with you how we have been using the 5 pillars in fulfilling how can we help our communities, not only here in Brooklyn, Curtis Bay, but also across the region in Central Maryland, and as it will be evident at the beginning of May, across the nation. Yeah. So I would like to ask Franklin Baker and Chris Battaglia to give us words of welcome. Sir?
So thank you everyone who has joined us today. This is our really treat to have the mayor here. This is a sterling example of progress and impact in the local community. And we're so thrilled with the impact that we're seeing. Every single day we're seeing impact, not just in the local school here, but in the broader community. So we wanted you to come and visit for a few moments and get some glimpse of what's happening here at Ben Franklin High School. And we're so encouraged that we have some really positive people that are working here, and one of which is Chris Battaglia, the principal. We're so delighted to be engaged with him. He is a true champion and a true partner in this work, and we're looking forward to having him give an overview of the school, and then we certainly will have deeper discussions from Dante to talk about the actual community schools concept and what we're trying to achieve. But we're so excited at United Way because we've been supporting Ben Franklin as a school and supporting this particular community schools concept for several years now. And just recently in October, we agreed to integrate the Ben Franklin Community Schools concept into United Way as one of our programs. So we have really embraced this notion, we've embraced the impact, and we're excited about the future. So we'll turn it over to Chris Battaglia and just talk a little bit more about the school.
Welcome, everybody. I could talk forever about our school, but the Cliff Note version is 7 years ago, the school was slated for closure, and 7 years later, we have our highest enrollment ever. We've doubled enrollment from the time we got here, and a big part of that is because of the community school model that a lot of people in this room are a part of, which allows the school to focus on what we do best, which is educating our children. So many different issues exist in our neighborhoods and in our societies, and to think that one group can solve everybody's problems is just naive. And so the approach of just saying, look, you know, we're a family, whoever comes through these doors, we're going to figure out what it is that you need to be successful, and then to be able to rely on our partners and the district to help us meet those needs has really helped us make a difference. So I'm really excited to have you hear more about everything that all these great people do to help us do what we do best at Ben Franklin.
Great. I would like to start our introductions with Damon, who's our President and CEO of the Family League.
Good morning, everyone. Damon Millard, President and CEO of Family League of Baltimore. We're a proud partner in facilitating the community school strategy under the leadership of the Mayor and the City Council in allocating resources to at least 1/3 of the schools within the Baltimore City School District, and it's great to be here with you today.
Yes, let's go this way.
Hello, my name is Devontae Johnson, and I'm a senior at Benjamin Franklin High School. I will be attending Frostburg State University next year.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Otis Buxton. I'm the Director of Family Programs here at the United Way Ben Franklin Center.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Chapman. I'm the Associate Vice President of the Ben Center. I oversee the day-to-day operations of the Ben Center.
Good morning, I'm Elena Walsh. I'm the College and Career Readiness Specialist here, and I also teach a couple of college prep classes.
I'm Meredith Chapin. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Baybrook Alliance, which is a community development corporation here in Brooklyn and Curtis Bay, and we're a partner at the high school.
My name is Audrey, and me and Tiffany are here representing Pastor Billy Humphrey, who runs the City of Refuge, Baltimore.
My name is Tiffany, as Audrey said. We're representing Pastor Billy, City of Refuge, Baltimore. And we run the Level Up After School program here at Ben Franklin.
Chuck Tilden with United Way.
Ashley Vallis, University of Maryland, Baltimore, and we helped, through our School of Social Work, establish the community school program here, and it's great to see that it's in great hands.
Joan Delina, United Way Healthy Foods Initiative.
Good morning, I'm Kelly Oglesby. I'm the Community School Coordinator here at Benjamin Franklin with United Way Ben Center.
Good morning, I'm Jeannie McGurk. I'm with Northrop Grumman Corporation and proud partner with the school here.
Good morning, I'm Valencia Hike. I do a lot of facilitating of physical activities throughout Baltimore City and Baltimore County, specifically running.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Thomas Sakampour. I'm the site manager for the On Track for Success program based at United Way here at Ben Franklin.
Good morning, I'm Joseph D'Angelo, tax partner with PricewaterhouseCoopers. We've been a partner with the school for the 7 years that we've converted into a high school, so happy to be here.
Franklin Baker, President of United Way.
Mayor Pugh. The gentleman over there.
Oh, hello, I'm playing God is pleasing, I don't feel this, you know.
This is lunch period.
Nicole.
I'm Nicole Mickey, and I do attendance and data at Ben Franklin.
Great. So, Madam Mayor, we are so delighted to share with you our proof of concept in terms of a community school and the community impact it brings. So when I first arrived at Ben Franklin High School, the door that you entered through was all bricked up, and these windows were boarded up. And so the former principal walked with me around the school, and we stood in front of the school, and I asked her, I shared with her, we need to reopen this doorway because it symbolizes so much for our community. And so, and then she said, with what money? And I said, well, I don't know. I'm new to Baltimore, but we need to reopen this. And she said, Dante, please do not raise my expectations.
Wow.
And I was wondering what happened that caused her to think that I should not raise her expectations. And so even some of the parents, when they heard that we were trying to reopen the doorway, said, "What, Mr. Dante, why are you going to pour money into this rat hole?" And I said, because I happen to love this place that you call a rat hole. And then they said, whatever. I think for us, for me, beauty is important. Design is important. For the physical environment of the school is so key. Like the colors that you find around you was selected by Chris's wife.
HGTV. This is chamomile in case you want.
So, but one of the things that, but you should have seen their faces when they first walked in after President Obama gave us $5 million through the stimulus funding, and North Avenue threw in their full support so that we could compete for Race to the Top dollars, so that we can provide wraparound services for our children and families. And as you know, Brooklyn and Curtis Bay is almost like an appendage, you know? And so I think one of the pieces that we'd like to ensure is that we will bridge capital from the folks that are from all over the city. And so the 5 pillars that I would like for us to have a conversation today includes education and youth engagement, quality of life, public safety, economic development and jobs, accountability and transparency. And let me just start with accountability and transparency. We invite all of our partners to make sure that they know what we're planning, they know what we're thinking over here. And so there are no surprises. That's one of our mottos, is no surprises. And so one of the things that our children we're working on are healthy foods. So Kelly, if you can just share briefly, what is our Produce with a Snap?
So Produce in a Snap is a nonprofit project of Hungry Harvest. So we started it there in a number of schools across Baltimore City and community locations as well. And so we were interested in becoming a site, so we launched in the middle of January. We have it every Tuesday afternoon down in our cafeteria, which is where our food pantry runs out of as well, so it's the same distribution market space for everybody. So we had it yesterday afternoon. It's been warmly embraced by the school community, and it's growing in its community, in the community's knowledge that it's here. We're hoping that will expand over the summer months as we continue. But yeah, we're here every afternoon. We've been averaging 24 sales of bags a week, and it's generated a lot of positive conversation about what people are buying. People are, you know, buying fruits and vegetables that they might not have been familiar with, and so there's lots of conversation about what do I do with this, and we just informally share with each other ideas that we have, or if somebody hasn't used it or somebody has, we do a lot of that. So we think it's been a great addition to the food pantry, because we don't get a lot of fresh produce. With the food pantry, we get lots of shelf-stable things that way. So we felt like it would be a nice partnership to that resource that we already have located in the building.
Right next to her is Joan Dolina, who's working with us at United Way. And tell us about your Corner Store initiative.
The pilot program started in Govans with a partnership with Loyola. And we're working here in Brooklyn Curtis Bay to bring healthy food to the corner stores. A lot of people lack transportation. The corner stores aren't exactly the healthiest or most cost-effective place to buy your food. So right now we're partnered with United Way McCormick, and we're working on a partnership with Harbor Hospital to piggyback on their food order, so that we can, buy in bulk, bring the costs down for the corner stores, and pass that savings along to the community. And we're also working on marketing materials, helping them with small refrigeration units if they need that, and general support.
So can I ask you a question? Talking about corner stores and them not being healthy venues, are they, because what we're finding in the violence reduction initiative is that 78% of criminal activity that occurs in our various locations throughout the city, especially our violence reduction initiative, occur around these small businesses that operate these mini markets and so forth that don't in fact carry healthy food. In fact, if you go inside of them, what you see mainly is orange, red, yellow, green soda and Fritos and empty shelves and chips, which don't benefit our communities in any way.
Yes.
And what we're also finding is that in many of those locations is where become what they call them drugstores, is what they call them, because they become havens for drug activity, and they become hosts for drug dealers. And so what we're doing is asking the health department to take a closer look to shut many of these stores down. And the other thing we're asking is that instead of, let me just say, government has a tendency to operate in silos. So what we're finding is that there's no connection with the Baltimore Municipal Zoning Board, there's no connection to the Liquor Board, there's no connection to late night licenses. And so everything is about, did you collect the money? And not, does it benefit the community? So we created what we call a violence reduction initiative, where I meet with the command staff, with all of my agency heads, and now we've included law, licensing, regulation, to say that before you accept the check of a business for a late night license, you have to understand what the violence issues are in that community. Because if we're ever going to get a handle on all of this, it really is about how we control and collaborate. So I would be more concerned that we are looking at how do we create our own hubs, for making sure that people have fresh foods and stuff, because many of these venues, that is not even the intention to carry fresh foods. It's not like New York, where the bodegas are run by a certain group in the communities, and it's all about the fresh vegetables and so forth. And you don't see drug dealers standing inside of those stores. And so we've got to come to the realization that many of these facilities are not operating in the best interest of our communities. And so the conversation should be around how do we make sure that people in our neighborhoods and communities can access, whether we're creating those hubs of our own fresh festivals. I say, if there's a supermarket here, please help me understand why there's 6 mini markets within, walking distance. It's just not necessary. So just thought I'd share.
Yeah, that's something that Dante and I have been discussing for quite some time. It's a larger issue and it's much more expensive, to have your own grocery store, run by the community. We've had a lot of discussions. The stores that I'm going into, I vet as much as possible. If I go into a store and the shelves are half empty and they're not serving anything healthy, and I don't get a good feeling about it, I walk right out. We have 2 stores right now that are interested, 2 store owners who are doing a good job. They have brought in some healthy food and are serving some fruits and vegetables, sandwiches, things like that, and have a commitment to the community. So right now it's just 2, but that's good. It's a start.
Another important thing that a number of these DB7s or alcohol outlets also are causing are chronic absenteeism, violence, and then also depression. And so we have a sterling mental health program here at the school. And Heather, would you share a little bit about what we do at the mental health programs?
Sure. So each year we have 4 graduate social work interns from the University of Maryland Baltimore School of Social Work program that come in and provide service under my supervision. And our program is trauma informed, and we try to provide the program in a non-traditional manner to try to provide a larger access to service and provide services in a way that take away stigma. As we know, sometimes that's why a lot of times students and families don't seek services because of the stigma. And so administration has played a large role in that, in really allowing us to kind of look like staff in the building, spend a lot of time, the interns spend a lot of time in classrooms, hallways, cafeterias, spending time with the students, one to kind of look like the rest of the staff so they're not siloed in the building, but then also to identify students, not just who are externalizing behaviors, but that are internalizing, because we know that many of our students have experienced trauma, continue to experience trauma, so they can really build relationships with those students and begin to serve them not only here in the area that's set apart for them mental health work, but also in the classrooms, in the hallways, and the cafeterias where we know research says that it's most effective. We just got the numbers for this year. So far, we've served 41% of the population because we do a lot of crisis work. And then on an ongoing basis, on a weekly basis, either through individual work or group work, there's been 17% of the school population that we've served. And so we see a 60% reduction rate in depressive symptoms in the work that we do, which we know translates to an increase in motivation and an increase in grades and attendance rates.
We also have our family stability program, and which is based here at Ben Franklin High School, but we also reach out to Baybrook Elementary Middle School, Curtis Bay, and Marie Faring. And to date, we have prevented more than 100 families from becoming homeless.
And that's your referral process?
Yes.
For those families?
Yes.
Could you walk through that, if you wouldn't mind?
So we have an eligibility criteria that we use, and then we also have funding coming from the Seymour Foundation of $1,500 per family, so that we use that to either keep them from getting evicted and then working with them to secure jobs. Sometimes if you're at the verge, we are trying to get to a point where you're not at the very verge of getting evicted, but we're still trying to explore other ways so that, when they get to that point, we can still figure out how to address that. We also provide furniture, just things that they need on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Yeah. So these are our stakeholder collaboration in 2009, and now this is our stakeholder collaboration about 80 partners. And I'd like to acknowledge Joe D'Angelo, who has been with us since the very beginning with PricewaterhouseCoopers. Can you share a little bit about your involvement? Why did you decide to hang in there with us, Joe?
Well, Dante, not many people can be around you and not be inspired, right, to get connected. But PwC had been rolling out a national initiative around youth education, and with a strong focus on financial literacy. And so we were looking for area schools to make a connection so that we could give back to the community where we've been working and maintaining an office for a number of years. We actually went through the Pencil Partnership relationship, if you remember, and we're paired up with Ben Franklin. And at first it seemed overwhelming. I brought a group of 5 people with me, and we sat down with the then principal and Dante and met with other leaders of the school, and they talked about things that they needed to accomplish in order to transform the school from a middle school into a high school. And it was just overwhelming. I mean, the group, when we went back to the office, were just shell-shocked. But, you know, we kind of organized, prioritized, and focused on things where we thought we could have the most impact. We've done a variety of things over the years. One of the first things we did is I was actually sitting on the committee that recommended Mr. Battaglia be considered as one of the final candidates for principal for the school.
Jay was very wise.
Yes.
We've kept him because of that. It was great.
But I was able to sit around the turnaround committee as kind of a community representative or a partner for the school. And then over the years, we've done a number of things in terms of making information available and volunteers available to run financial literacy programs for the students. That was part of a 5-year initiative that PwC had at the time. We've now rolled that into a second 5-year program called Access Your Potential, where across the country we've committed over $300 million, both in kind and in funding, to various organizations all across the country. Now with the primary focus of adding STEM to what we're doing in terms of financial literacy. But I think the most important thing that we did is really make some personal connections, not only with the students, but with the administration, and recognizing the variety of needs that existed just for people to be here, to be supportive and helpful. That's probably what we've done, I think, consistently over the years. I know Principal Battaglia has reached out to us in a variety of ways, at times to fund different activities or provide volunteers for organization activities like BenFest, the attendance programs, different things of that nature over the years. So we're just always looking for ways that we can connect, bring the resources we have to try to further the school's goals and extend this relationship into the community.
I know one of our partners are the representatives from Pastor Billy Humphrey, Tiffany and Aldrey. Yeah. So thanks very much for the after-school programming that you're providing.
Thank you for having us. Billy's sorry that he wasn't able to be here today. He's actually traveling to the organization we're partnering with, City of Refuge Atlanta, to finish up some 501c3 paperwork with them. But, so for City of Refuge, we actually operate on 9th Street, but we partner with Ben Franklin, and we offer a food bank, we have clothing drives, but here at the school we operate the Level Up After School program. Audrey and I have run it. And our goal is to help the students achieve academic success, as well as teach them life skills and just kind of meet their basic needs that they have. And so we try to do that by working with the school, offering assistance with, you know, like Bayhawk Academic Center, and just kind of helping be like they're halfway, find that plug that they need to be active and find what they want to do after high school.
And then,
So,
yes, ma'am.
so we have, how many people know about the jobs fair? May 9th. In Baltimore City Community College for free.
Yes.
Make sure.
We actually had a representative here right before you arrived from the Mayor's Jobs Program, having our students register for it. So it's alive and well.
Excuse me, really quickly, is anyone driving a Burgundy 200 Chrysler?
If I can just stress one thing about community schools, because I think from a school's perspective, I think one of the things that's really important as to why it's here is that we're not partnering with, PwC and Northrop Grumman and United Way. I mean, we're partnering, with Jeannie, with Joe, with Billy, with Franklin, being part of the school, I think one of the mistakes sometimes a school leader can make is where we come up with our problem and then we go looking for a partner who can solve our problem. And that creates this, you can swing and miss, and then people walk away without having a good taste in their mouth. Instead of getting to know people and bringing them into the fold and being truly honest and transparent about what you're trying to accomplish, and then if they're looking at you saying, yeah, we're open to trying to help, as opposed to having somebody come in and say, we're going to fix you. Right. But then we ask some crazy stuff of our partners. I mean, all those dots, they're all dots, but we don't hesitate to pick up the phone, and say, hey Joe, I really need some help with what might have nothing to do with financial literacy. And I think that's the power of Ben Franklin and the Ben Center and the partnerships that we have. So that's really important, I think, in all our community schools, that they actually get to know who we are. Not every partner gets to know us as intimately as some of the partners that I've just named, but there's still an element to having that closeness where they actually can help us, and they know our kids, and they know our teachers and staff.
One of the exciting things is our partnership in Northrop Grumman. So Jeannie, can you share a little bit about what Northrop Grumman is doing with our students?
Absolutely. So Northrop Grumman came in along with UMBC after the unrest. Our CEO, President West Bush, talked to our vice presidents and said, we want to do something, but we don't just want to write a check. How can we give an impact?
Although we do accept checks. Just want to say it.
Don't let I know. Oh, there we go. So with working with UMBC, we came in to see how we could help learn about the students. We have partnerships here with Ben Franklin as well as Lakeland Elementary, Middle, and Excel Academy. But what we bring to the table is we have our employees. We have a very large facility that's close here, and they're our greatest asset, and great diversity mix with their backgrounds of what they do, their perspectives, and things like that. Our commitment is bringing authentic STEM experiences to the schools so that the teachers and students are exposed and can bring real-world expertise into the schools. A couple examples, one of our assets, I was saying with the employees, we have employee resource groups called ERGs. A couple examples, Gen to Gen, Generation to Generation, they have sponsored back-to-school drives and holiday drives for all of the schools. Our NG Win, which is Women in Networking, the STEM organization, they have done classroom visits and bringing what's called Discover Northrop Grumman, so an engineering type of hands-on project. Recently, Ben participated in what is our signature program called STEM Innovation Challenge, and it was a 12-week engineering design challenge, and they competed with 9 other high schools last week, and Ben Franklin received the Spirit Award for it. They did a great job, so we were happy to provide and help. And as Chris said, they call up and ask. I was here with my niece who does not work at Northrop and is not involved in STEM, and she came out and we volunteered at Ben Fest and did stomp rockets for the students and helped out at the food pantry, and wherever we can help, we love to. We love bringing the students into our facilities to meet with people as well as coming out here. So we're looking forward to continuing the relationship and the partnership.
Jeannie, you had mentioned earlier about Lakeland, which is also a community school, and it's within the respective footprint. If you wouldn't mind talking about Northrop's participation as it relates to the STEM Center, the STEAM Center?
Absolutely. So Northrop Grumman Foundation, they provided the funding for the renovation of what was the rec center to the STEAM Center. Finally, the official unveiling is looking to be about the end of May, the beginning of June. Last little touches are being done there. But a great partnership, again, working with Parks and Rec and Lakeland Elementary School, and to see how it can be used as a community as a whole, not just for the students at Lakeland, but for the community. There's going to be a tech computer center where the community can come in and use and learn computer skills, work on resumes, work on applications. There's going to be an area for, that community loves Zumba classes, so there's an area for them for coming in and taking Zumba classes, and many after-school programs for, again, students that go to that school, but as well as others from the community that want to come in, different types of coding classes for students, the robotics club, you name it. They have a wide variety, and we're very excited that we're finally, the doors are officially going to be opening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. So we have experienced an increase in enrollment, and like any parent here in Baltimore, they vote with their feet. So they start bringing their kids here. So from 2010, where we had 226 students, now we're almost at 500 students. We also have the Teen Parent Support and Early Childhood Development Program here, where at this point, because Otis is not here, I just wanted to say that we have a 92% graduation rate for our teen parents. Normally, nationally, it's 40% graduation.
And we're gonna show the mayor, the families.
That's right, yeah. So we also use On Track for Success, which we had just unveiled this year here at Ben Franklin High School. Thomas, can you share just briefly what it is?
Sure. So On Track for Success is a program from United Way that looks at attendance, behavior, and course performance of students, identifies them, and tries to intervene early enough to prevent them from dropping out of high school. So there's a lot of research that came out of Hopkins and Chicago around students even as early as 6th grade or even as early as 4th grade. You can begin to identify them. There's markers that begin to identify students who, if there's not absence of intervention, will drop out. And so our work is to help the school understand what those indicators are, to identify the students who are potentially or showing that marker, and then helping the school craft an intervention by also bringing in resources. Part of our program also includes a social worker who works with Heather and her team, who also provides, in addition to sort of seeing individual students, she also provides work with teachers to help them think through when a student is exhibiting a certain behavior or when a student is really struggling academically, what from sort of the mental, social, emotional background can they bring? Because that is not an expertise teachers naturally have. There's no class on that in when you're going to become a teacher. And so it's sort of giving them that extra asset. We work here at Ben. We also work at one of Ben's feeder schools, Marie Faring, as well as Meade Middle School in Anne Arundel County. So we're planning to expand within the greater Central Maryland region. So far this year, 14% of students who were identified as off track in the 9th grade, which is the target grade we work with, 14% that were off track have moved back on track, and another 25% have had positive movement, although they're not quite all the way there yet. That is in line with our pilot results last year at Marie Faring. This is a new program we just piloted last year, where 25% of students who were off track at Marie Faring moved on track by the end of the year, and 35% got closer, and we're hoping we'll get them on track by the end of this year. So that's sort of the nuts and bolts and the impact. I don't know if there's any more questions.
One of the things that we're looking at is making sure that our environment and that the air that kids breathe is good. So Destiny Watford, Goldman Prize winner, was able to stop the building of the largest incinerator in North America to be built less than a mile from here. So we are now making sure that our kids, our families are able to breathe clean air. And
she was class of 2013.
Yeah, she was an alumni of our school. And one of the things too that we have been able to help build and found basically is the Greater Baybrook Alliance, which is a community development corporation here in Brooklyn Curtis Bay, and Meredith Chicken leads that.
Exactly. So we are a community development corporation. We're dedicated to revitalization of neighborhoods in Brooklyn, Curtis Bay, and Brooklyn Park. We're cross-jurisdictional. In just the last 2 years, we've brought in over $2 million in capital funds. We're helping to fund the athletic complex that's being built at the school we're using. We have almost $500,000 going in there. We're preparing our Bernie application for next year, so you'll be hearing from us on that. But we're also really focused on capacity building in the community, and so really all the work we're doing is also trying to engage residents and give them some tools and resources to take control of what they want to do for the community and really own those projects themselves. So it's been very successful so far, and we're really looking forward to engaging with the city. State Streets is another place that we're trying to bring resources in for the community, and we really have a good partnership right now with the results. It's been great.
So I just ask everybody to be very conscious of the fact that we have a $24 million right now youth fund, which should, each year is supposed to be $12 million. Probably every year probably go up a little bit as the city continues to grow. And the whole concept of that is to create programming around young people. And so I would hope that groups and organizations that are looking at positive programs would take a real close look at that.
Certainly.
Because we need to be preparing applications for that.
Yeah, it's a great resource for us.
And thank you so much for funding community schools.
Yes.
Thanks so much. This is so excellent.
You know, Baltimore will build and renovate more schools in Baltimore than the entire state of Maryland, 23 to 20.
Yeah.
In this city.
Thank you.
So another exciting thing to look forward to is our new athletic field. So we'll definitely invite you to that.
Yes.
And so we would like to thank CSX for giving us $2 million, NFL for giving us $250,000, for the state for giving us $500,000, and for Weinberg Foundation for giving us $100,000 to make sure it happens. So, and now I'd like to show our family center.
Let me just say one other thing. I mean, I think somebody said it earlier. You did, when you talked about opening the door.
Yes.
And the low expectations of people in communities is real. You know, I remember when I shut down Shake and Bake, and then the number of texts and phone calls I got, people saying, you got to open this up right away. It's just when we roller skate, but yet the roof was falling down, the floor was buckled, there weren't matching skates. And we've gotten to the point where mediocrity is acceptable, or less than, and it should not be. Feels like this belong in every community, and every child in every neighborhood deserves the very best. And so we have opened it back up, and there are 500 pairs of matching skates and floors are new, and we're working on the bowling alley currently. But our communities deserve it. I look at the number of border houses that still exist in neighborhoods and communities, and I've said to my own team, you know, instead of boarding up, let's figure out how we repair and rebuild in these neighborhoods where people have owned homes, will own homes, aren't going anywhere, and deserve the same kind of investment in certain parts of our city that we're making in others. So thank you for your commitment.
Yeah, thanks very much. So ladies, Madame Mayor.